Welcome back. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory (FCT), Nyesom Wike, has blamed Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde for the crisis rocking the People's Democratic Party (PDP). Wike also accused key party leaders of betrayal, dishonesty, and serious violations of mutual understanding. The former Rivers State Governor announced that he has pulled out of all reconciliation agreements previously reached within the PDP. As reported by The Punch, the Wike disclosed this in a statement issued on Sunday, May 25, 2025. Wike traced the roots of the PDP's internal turmoil to the aftermath of the 2023 general elections. The FCC minister lamented a steadily decline in dishonesty and lack of trust amongst its key stakeholders. And to have this conversation about Wike versus PDP, the way forward is a reps member and journalist, Honorable Ogbonna Nwuke, former House of Reps member and journalist. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. I can hear you. I don't know whether you can hear me.
Yes, I can
I
hear
can
you.
hear you.
Honorable Buna, good evening and welcome. Our conversation is Wike versus PDP, the way forward. Just have a background knowledge. Can you give us an insight of what had transpired before this particular meeting that they had about the reconciliation?
Of course, the crisis in the PDP is as old as 2023, 2022, when the convention took place. And it's never really been any broad-based attempt to ensure that the party came together. Now, like it or not, you have a former governor of Rivers State who contested for the presidential ticket years back and who supported the coming of the APC president, a man who still remains in the party and for some reason is acting against his own party. Of course, as we speak, we know that the PDP secretariat is shut down. It's not the attitude of a loyal party person. And regardless of the pushback that's likely to be the share of the president, is going to have to shut down the PDP secretariat. Because not many people believe that Wike is acting alone. A lot of people think that the big elephant in the room is the president himself. And Wike is shut down the PDP secretariat, at the same time is bound to fight for justice. So what is playing out suggests very clearly that the PDP is in deep trouble. Now you have a situation where Wike is blaming even his friend Makinde and blaming every other person in the PDP minus himself. And he's saying that there have been lots of betrayals. Of course, maybe if he was betrayed on the way to the presidency in 2022, it doesn't mean that betrayal has become the bedrock of the PDP. And if there's anyone who, in my view, with due respect to the minister himself, who is betraying PDP at this time, it's not the PDP, it's Wike. You know, it's a question of shifting the goalpost. Like you have a fight between the kettle and the pot, and each is trying to call the other black. So that's what we have. That's the background as we go into this conversation.
In the course of this conversation, they had met. They had come to a conclusion that the that Senator Samuel Anyanwu remains the national secretary of the PDP, and also that all legal matters relating to the River State must be withdrawn, and that includes the current state of emergency in River State. How so far has that actually been implemented?
I think that we should look at the initiative. I think the president who had a conversation with Governor Siminalayi Fubara some weeks back in the UK has taken the initiative from everyone. If you follow the interview that Wike granted to BBC, he said the president directed him to make the peace with Governor Siminalayi Fubara. And he asks rhetorically, who is he not to obey the president? So this means that as we have this conversation, the initiative is taken away from Nwuke, the PDP, and all the major players in the PDP. Now, if there is peace in the Rivers State, it will be because of the initiative of Mr. President, not because someone in the PDP or someone in the FCT is behind it. The president wants, I believe, some understanding in Rivers State, wants possibility of taking off the state of emergency. And that's what is critical here. Major stakeholders here know who is driving the bus. It's not Wike, it's not the PDP. So if we have peace in the River State, we have the understanding in the River State that many you want. If we have the way forward that people are talking about in the River State right now, it will not be because of these characters, it will be because of Mr. President. And that's the truth.
Okay, Honorable. Looking forward, what are the potential implications of Wike's action, not just on the political landscape of Nigeria, but also regards to PDP? There's a statement that he said that he's not really in to resolve anything, and he's ready to, take this fight and fight it till the end.
This is the point. The fight has been on along. What you saw in the River State was part of that fight. What you are seeing happening by Bayelsa is part of that fight. What you are seeing happening today, PDP's ability to hold meetings severally is part of that fight. Let's not deceive ourselves. That's why the last time when I spoke to you on this program, I said, look, frankly, the PDP has left. There's a lot of fight going on. PDP is in disarray. No one is able to call anyone to order. There's no discipline. Party leadership is unable to get members together. Peacemakers put together, unable to get people to come around the table. All you have commitments here and there, and an excuse perhaps to jettison conversations. The PDP is in deep trouble, and frankly, that we are asking about consequences. That's why I said maybe the pushbacks when it will come will not be Nwuke's at all. It will be that of the president. The reason is that people will say that Nwuke is serving under his administration and Nwuke has a license to cause trouble. Now, and as you know, there are comments here and there about the coming of a one-party state. There's a real fear among Nigerians. Who've had multi-democracy all these years, and even Tinubu himself had occasion to warn that the one-party state will not work. Now, the events that are playing now, you have governors of political parties, they are not talking about their own party, they are talking about support for the president. All kinds of funny things. So it means there's some pressure that's coming from behind that not many Nigerians are seeing, but which the politicians are experiencing. And anybody who wants peace, who wants a second tenure, for example, who wants the opportunity to name a successor when your tenure is over, and who wants to operate in peace, literally, at the time that sometimes the EFCC can be put behind you.
Does not.
Now, all of this.
Can you hear me, Mr. Wuna?
I can hear you.
Okay, so they had insisted that if he's not taken in as the PDP secretary, then the PDP at the southeast level would actually pull out of PDP, and which we know is going to cause a whole lot of problems regarding the internal party crisis in PDP already. And Wike, on the other hand, had mentioned that Seyi Makinde had actually connived with Governor Peter Mbah of Enugu State. Makinde of Oyo State had connived with Peter Mbah of Enugu State to orchestrate the summoning of the meetings of the so-called Southeast in order to put in Udo Okoye. And he has actually talked about Seyi Makinde having like the body language of someone that is being dishonest and so forth. What would you make of this whole situation and what Wike had to say about it?
Well, we are seeing postures being fired. Frankly, you can't rule out the fact that Makinde and Nwuke are very close friends. They acted together under the G5. Everybody knows that. Um, well, you've seen some who talk very little in public, taking pot shots at Nwuke, following the comments that Nwuke made about Southeast leaders and their inability to deliver. Now, what is obvious is that the state remains set. I think the PDP is imploding. And unfortunately for us, nobody can get the major titans, Atiku and Wike, nobody can call them to order. And their fight is taking unduly too long and taking the PDP along with it. And you see, you had a wave of defections. And those defections show one thing, that many are uncertain about what is happening in the PDP. And on his own part, the PDP has satisfied the constitutional provision which says that where there is a division in the party, people are free to go. So you are seeing people, governors, senators, members of the House of Representatives, even other lesser mortals, everybody jumping out. Of course, Tinubu was right when he said people are in the sinking ship and they had no life jackets on. So this is exactly what is playing. So all these accusations and counter accusations in my mind means nothing. What we should be talking about, what we should be focusing on, is that the PDP has a crisis on its hands and is unable to find solutions. That's it. So listening, dropping, name calling, in my view, are all distractions. Whether Makinde acted with Mba to get the Southeast, to act together, it's immaterial. One expectation is that the Southeast is expected to act on its own because the office of secretary is zoned to it. Now, nobody can make those decisions other than the Southeast politicians. So I don't know what share, what's his name, back in the heart in all of this. But you know my friend and my brother. He's a fighter. He's ready to fight anyone, including his best friends. That's who he is. Now, frankly, until the PDP is able to look Nwuke in the face and say, look, you're no longer part of us. Until the PDP is able to look at Atiku and say, look, it is the turn of the South to present a president. Stop going around like a presidential candidate. Only then can the PDP begin to talk. Only then can the PDP begin to look for those solutions that will solve the problem. So this is the truth. If a Southerner had emerged as candidate in 2022, perhaps we won't be where we are now. Now, those who stole the ticket at that time or who got the ticket through democratic means, but who refused to engage, who refused to make the peace, who refused to be sincere in the peacemaking process, are responsible for all of this. This is not absolve Nwuke. Nwuke is part of the problem. Now, the PDP must deal with Atiku, they must deal with Nwuke in order to move forward. If they don't do it, then they are not serious.
Honorable, currently, Wike, as the Minister FCT, is working hand in hand with the APC government as the president in the incumbent president currently is an APC candidate. Do you see any possible defection in the future, as defection is now the order of the day? People are defecting. Do you really see Wike defecting from PDP, including this entire crisis that has been going on, into APC?
Nwuke does not need to defect. Nwuke has said clearly that he will remain the PDP. He has said he will support the presidential bid in 2027. And that's we should take him for what he has said. What this means is that if he was governor of Rivers State in 2023 and he delivered the votes, or seemingly got Rivers to deliver the votes to the president in 23, and is fighting the PDP to a standstill and saying, I'm going to remain in the party, nobody can do anything to me, and saying that when the time comes, he will stay in PDP and work for the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. What has he told you? What does he need defection for? He doesn't need defection. What are we talking about defection? He doesn't need it. So if he does that, that will be perhaps to fulfill righteousness. The important thing is the body and soul of Nwuke is in APC already. What you have disturbing the PDP is the carcass. And it's strong enough. The PDP has not been unable to bury the carcass. So, for as long as Nwuke remains part of what the PDP is doing, the PDP cannot say that it's rebuilding, that it's rebranding, that is seeking membership, or that it is serious enough to contest an election. That the PDP will be that because the PDP at this time is the biggest opposition party. When the PDP is weak, the entire opposition is weak.
Honorable Bona, looking forward, all these meetings and the rest of it are to, meet at the middle and have a conclusion and equally resolve these things. Do you see the PDP and Wike resolving these differences and, having internal discipline?
Well, I think there is a psychology of negotiations. And the one that you are negotiating with thinks he's in a strong position, that he has you on the ground. Now, I believe that if we were honestly activate the mechanisms within the party for conflict resolution, the PDP has one of the best conflict resolution mechanisms ever within the Nigerian context. But unfortunately, it's been unable to do so. Now, this is because the party is polarized. Okay? There are people who believe, honestly, that if you were to sit on the table, that of course some progress can be made. But you don't discuss when either of the parties is impatient, when either of the parties is issuing threats, when either of the parties think it has all the aces. Now, when you have such a situation, what kind of negotiation will come? So this is the point. Is the BDP able to negotiate? I think it's possible, looking at the courage of men like Saraki, who have sufficient experience, who share relations with quite a lot of people, including the combatants in this instance, and who are rational enough to bring people from the left of center and the right of center to a conversation. Now, that is possible. That's possible. I'm not going to rule that out completely. But I'm saying that the basis for reconciliation within the PDP does not appear to exist at this time. And if we want to be very sincere, the ones who are behind this crisis know where they're headed. You know how far they've gone. They've dug in. It's dug in. You know, the house is in disarray. They are differing opinions, differing interests, and everybody unto yourself. And what you just left is for everybody to just walk away and leave. The ones who are talking about coalition are almost halfway gone from the party because, of course, they may never be able to go with the entire party into a coalition. The ones who are talking with the APC will never be able to go with the entire party into a coalition with the APC. So what you have is a PDP that's turned to threats, a PDP that's unable to stand on its feet, and a PDP that has been buried by those it made. Because all of these people who are great assets to Nigeria, great assets to the party, great assets to the parties that they are going to, were made by the PDP. And it's a shame that at this time when the PDP needs them, they are killing it.
Honorable, the election is around the corner and PDP is yet to put their house in order. And with this, is Wike's political influence more of a beneficial or detriment to PDP states right now?
I don't know how we're going to discuss it over and over again. The people who are fighting are people who are unwilling to forgive one another. Let's be frank about that. It's very clear now that somewhere along the line, something happened when people like Aisha Ayu made comments that should not have made, describing some people who acted in some way on the convention ground when that shouldn't even have happened, describing them as saviors of democracy. Now, and the opportunity to have a conversation across board. So a man who was able to, regardless of what happened, show strength as a governor, as a party man, winning sufficient votes. He was defeated, was not disgraced. But those who fought him did not see it in their mind. They have finished him. Now, they ignored him. It's like the story of Dracula and Frankenstein. The actions of Dracula created Frankenstein. And Dracula, for some reason, didn't look in the direction of Frankenstein until Frankenstein was strong enough to destroy it. So this is what is happening. Wike is embedded in the PDP. Nobody can wave him aside. He's in there. And Wike has just not influence. He has influence, he has money, he has contacts, he has everything. And I'll just say, it's like Lucifer. Lucifer has everything, including the capacity to tempt you. And Wike is in the position to tempt quite a lot of people who are PDP members and get them to move or act in a direction, in a given direction that he wants them to. And that's plainly. So when we are talking about PDP in dire straits, then we should also understand that the PDP itself had the opportunity of ending this early enough. That they kept quiet, played the monkey, you know. In the daytime when you are felling trees, monkeys rejoice and laugh. Then when it's time to sleep in the evening, they find that those trees that were felled in the daytime were their hostels and their rooms. So this is what is happening to the PDP. PDP is waking up too late to understand that those things that made them smile, those things that made them laugh, those things that made them jest were reality. And reality has come home now. It's difficult to exercise evil when evil takes you. And I think that's where we are. I don't know how, and I don't know who will talk to Nwuke, will get Nwuke to back down. Now, Nwuke has a grudge against the PDP. Those who are talking peace, who are talking reconciliation, don't appear. He's accusing them of being half-hearted, people who cannot be trusted. So it's like a man who was betrayed once, he was unwilling to, allow another chance at betrayal, and is willing to take them down, including himself, to the grave. So I think the PDP is headed for it. Unfortunately, if atmosphere is not taken, I think the PDP is headed for the graveyard.
PDP is obviously known to be the main opposition party. I mean, even before the Labour Party and the rest of it, PDP is the main opposition party in Nigeria. So how would you assess the role of internal party democracy within the PDP currently?
You can see that anything about internal democracy is gone. And listening to Damagun the other day was saying, those who are coming from the PDP, only God will judge them. Why is he occupying a position that is not his own? Why is he unwilling to call allow the party meet and give the chairmanship to the actual zone that has it? Why is he doing that? So this is the point. That's why I said they're playing the game of the kettle and the pot, and then trying to call each other black. Doesn't make sense. Okay? Now, the Wike is too far gone in his ambition, to show some powerful forces in the PDP that they cannot do without it. And he has the capacity to make friends across board, and he's made friends. Okay? The APC needs him to weaken the PDP, for example. So, and if that is correct, then Wike is doing it successfully. The PDP lacks the political will to move against Wike. They're unable to do so. It sits within them and it's eating them up. And they're unable to do anything. It's not a shame that how many times, about 6 times, the PDP has said it's going to hold a meeting. No meeting has held. If you say Wike is not strong, then what else? How else do you want to prove to the world that it's weak? His forces won't let you hold a meeting. Even the meeting they held this night, they are holding a meeting to decide whether you proceed on Tuesday to hold a meeting or not. I don't want to laugh. These are serious matters. These are very serious matters. But the point is very clear. If you are looking at the fight, what you call Nwuke versus PDP, Nwuke appears to have all these cases stacked up. The PDP is weak at this time, unable to take care of itself, unable to exercise Nwuke from his news, unable to install discipline, inspire courage, confidence amongst his membership. So, what you have is what used to be PDP. Achebe Road, there was once a country. I am a member of the PDP, and I'm beginning to think that perhaps there was once a PDP.
But looking at the situation now, it seems like PM Wike is holding PDP at a ransom. And how would you advise the PDP to restructure itself in a way that it is not driven, it is not personality driven in terms of conflicts like this in the future?
You know, one of the things that made party formation different in the IBB days when we had equal joiners and equal owners, but that people were supposed to contribute to the sponsorship of political parties. Then somewhere along the line, membership of political parties have found it convenient to allow some so-called men in quotes with deep pockets to fund their political party. So they are like ornaments on a shelf to be bought and to be broken at will. So that's what you have, you know. So some people can tell you in the press that they own the party and that they have made contributions. And where were you when they were making those contributions? Look at PDP, 11 million or that. I don't know how much the ground rent is. They are telling me that a political party that has governors, icons, political icons, cannot raise money to pay for their whatever house. And they're sitting there. And the party secretary have been shocked in their face. Now you can see why it looks like the governors of Rivers State, right from the days of Bodili, have been funding the PDP. And over time, they become very strong and they can determine if PDP will live or die. That's what you're saying. I'm from Rivers. Okay? And I know very strongly that the PDP is not done sufficiently. How can you tell us, even negotiations, is it not possible to negotiate that over time we pay off the money that we're owing? Is the federal government so hard-hearted that you won't listen to a bargain? Then you say that they'll shut you out. Yes, you think that perhaps in the propaganda industry that you claim that Tinubu is doing this or not doing that. But what about your responsibility? Your responsibility is to pay ground rent. What about your responsibility? That the PDP cannot pay for ground rent? What are we talking about now?
Okay, Honorable, our time is fast spent. Just before we round off, other political parties are taking note of the internal party crisis happening in PDP and even other parties, other political parties in Nigeria. So what lessons can other political parties learn from the Wike and PDP saga about party loyalty and leadership, just in a nutshell?
I think that, of course, many years back, one of the things that made political parties what they were was the fact that you could talk about party discipline, you could talk about party cohesion. And maybe in our time, we have seen fifth colonies taking over, entering the political parties and dissipating them. What is happening in the PDP is just not strange. We've seen the fight in the Labour Party, for example. Bure and others are at war. Okay, and I think the lesson that the opposition should learn, Nigerian opposition should learn, is perseverance and being able to act together, you know, because the things that unite the opposition are more than the things that divide them. And so when you get into this ego fights, this um, petty disagreements, you give your opponent strength. You can see that the APC is running, they're declaring second tenor endorsements for the president. Why the opposition is even unable to get together? They're not talking about working together, not to talk about having a common candidate. So that is the time. Sooner than later, December will be here. Next year will be the campaign period. So how long? They should learn lessons from what happened when the APC built a coalition to offset the PDP. The unfortunate thing I'd like to say here is that PDP perhaps hasn't got experience of an opposition party. And you can see now that the APC is in power. It has the experience of a party in power and the experience of a party that was in opposition. So getting together, acting together, leaving room open for understanding and collaboration is what the opposition needs if it must fight the APC.
Okay, Honorable Ogbonna, thank you so much for your wonderful insights on the subject matter Wike versus PDP, the way forward. It was amazing having you on the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Bless you. Thank you so much, too.
Save Nature TV. News in your pocket.